always going to want turnovers. You're always going to want 4 turnovers. Plus 8 the last 3 games. You're taking 8 takeaways is big. But in the grand scope of the season, just in close games, how big have those turnovers played a factor in where you guys are at 10-1, and also how big will they be this week?
Well, and you probably know what my answer is going to be. It's a completely different outcome if we don't have those takeaways. I mean, if you look at the season overall, again, just talking on the defensive side of the ball, it's created outcomes. It hasn't influenced outcomes. It's created outcomes, and it will do that same thing this Saturday. You know, I haven't been in this situation before. Now in 4 different conferences going to the last week of the season, and with an opportunity to go to a championship game, is every single one of those I go back to. I've been fortunate to be on the plus side of that most of the time. The bulk of the time it's come down to who's won the turnover margin. And so fully anticipate it's going to be a real telltale this weekend. It has been. It will continue to be every Sunday. It continues to be. And there's some that look at it and trumpet it when it's in your favor. There's others that put all the chips in on the takeaway count. And we needed 3 last weekend to get the win, and very fortunate that we did.
Alex, noticed no defensive snaps for Danny Stutzman and Shane Witter. Was that part of because what happened with the flu, or is that just sort of how it worked out for you?
Yeah, I think as we evaluate over the course of the week, obviously one is player availability. Those individuals that are able to practice, obviously, are the only ones that could get a chance to compete to earn reps on Saturdays, and part of it is just game performance combined with performance in practice, and so that's ongoing. Billy Bowman is another guy. Guys that are right in a position to help us. But ultimately, it ties into, again, performance over the course of the week. We want to make sure that we put them in positions to be successful. Some of it ties into what the offense is doing in terms of, I don't want to call it easy execution, but maybe just ease of alignment, ease of communication. When you get a team that gives you 25 different formations on average per week and 60-some-odd% from a motion standpoint, sometimes, especially those younger guys, it's difficult to find reps within the game, because what happens so often is for the guys that have been in it, there's believe me, it doesn't get easier as you go, but there's a familiarity with it in terms of live game action that all of a sudden you throw a guy in the second quarter and he hasn't seen any of it yet other than in practice. So all that ties into it, and a lot of that from that standpoint had a lot to do with, from a linebacker standpoint, had everything to do with just the package that Iowa State runs and trying to put guys in position to be successful, and so we fully expect those guys to compete this week.
Lincoln just said that DJ was questionable for the game this weekend. Do you feel like you're in a better position now, maybe than you were a couple weeks ago when he was banged up, to withstand that? And what kind of progress do you feel like you've seen out of Key Lawrence?
Yeah, I think Keyshawn's like a lot of young players, just looking for a consistency. That you can stamp him. And probably in fairness to him in particular, over the course of the entire season as a group, you want to stamp guys as being consistent. And the more numbers that you can describe as such, the better you're going to be, from a result standpoint. But no, he had some flash plays this past weekend. I mean, you see, his top end. Guys played 3 games now at corner. It's only going to get better as we go. So no, we feel very comfortable with him out there. Obviously, having Woody back changes some things. That's been an interesting position over the course of the year. I've tried to get some young guys out there early on in the season. Didn't necessarily get the return on investment. We'll continue to bring guys along, and so that pool of guys has shrunk. However, when you add back Woody and hopefully get something with DJ and then moving the checker in terms of getting Keyshawn out there, I think our results would suggest that from a trust standpoint, we trust them, and we're getting a little bit more production from that outside corner position.
You talk about consistency, and sort of the amplitude of those waves changed a little bit as far as getting a little bit more consistently what you want, rather than riding waves constantly?
Yeah, I mean, I think as you go over the course of the season, I think certainly, you know, when you give up explosive plays through the air, it's very hard to play good defense. And I mean, you're constantly in a position where you know you're one play away from something going I guess awry. And a lot of times that's young guys doing it for the first time. And then so one of the things we try to do is like I said, force feed those guys, give them those opportunities to try to come around. And sometimes it works in your favor, and sometimes you just bear the brunt of it, and it never kind of gets flipped that way until maybe the next year or years to come. So, but no, we certainly have. I think as you watch us, I think that would certainly suggest that the results are there, as opposed just to our interpretation of things. And it's something that's got to continue this weekend because they're going to be challenged.
Alex, I know I ask you about stop and run game every week, but that's what they do. Warren, now Sanders is running the ball quite a bit. How important is it to try to get them throwing the ball, or one-dimensional at least in this game?
Yeah, I think you're always in some ways they're saying how can you make your opponent? You mentioned one-dimensional. Sometimes it's a little bit of a pipe dream, but to think you're going to get that done, and then sometimes too it's a little bit fool's gold when you get an experienced quarterback like Sanders back there that can hurt you through the air and get explosives. And the more guys you commit to the box, obviously the more one-on-one matchups. And so much of what they do is to do just that, is create those one-on-ones, and have gotten the chunk play. Not just the chunk plays, but also just those, drive continuation plays where you feel like you're playing good defense, but then move the chains and you kind of start all over. And so, incredibly difficult challenge. You mentioned it when you got to defend the quarterback in the run game as well as the backs and the use of tight ends. And I think one of the better offensive lines that we've seen in terms of road grading guys and getting movement in that. So we know we got to work cut out for us.
Follow up on that, Spencer Sanders didn't play 2 years ago. He's hurt last year. He gets hurt in this game, so you don't even see him for a full game. I mean, now he looks like he's at least coming into this game healthy. How has he changed over time as you've prepared to get ready to face him? What do you see out of him that maybe impresses you most at this point in his career?
Yeah, I think you see a guy that has a lot of game reps under his belt. A guy that has the get out of jail free card with the ability to scramble and move in the pocket, and extend plays with the ability to throw the ball downfield. So it's not as if he's just quick to take off and run, but he also knows that he has that ability to hurt you that way. I think his ability to kind of throw guys open in the pass game has certainly improved, and he's without question you can see a guy that just has a complete comfort level in what they ask him to do offensively, understanding the scheme, understanding coverage. He doesn't look surprised very often as you watch him on film, and then that's one of those things that you're constantly trying to evaluate from a defensive standpoint. Can you, if you change a checker, if you show rotation, can you surprise a guy? And you just don't see that on film. I give him a lot of credit, and he makes that thing go.
Yeah, Alex, you mentioned Billy Bowman earlier, and I was curious. He hasn't been on the field much lately, and I guess a natural question I have is, did the experiment at cornerback mess him up mentally at all? Like, because he got picked on so much, and then he hasn't played much since then. So I'm just kind of curious about that.
No, I think one of the things for our guys is constantly trying to put the 5 best defensive backs on the field. And then part of it is too is if you're in a position where maybe you don't play well, and then you're always at the mercy of someone else playing better than you, and you would want it the same way if you played better than someone else. The same reason you got an opportunity because you outperformed somebody else is the same reason someone else gets an opportunity, and so that is always part of it. Some of it stems from trying to find the kind of the best position, and also as we go through it, trying to find okay, here's the best 5. at least in our opinion, the best 5 that gives the best chance to win on Saturday. And then where do you put the best, the next best 5 behind him? And I've tried him at safety at times, as well as at nickel. Again, just as excited about him as we ever were. Again, I don't circle a game or a couple plays over the course of the season to cross a guy off by any stretch of the imagination. And hope to see him on the field this week. I got to put together a good week of practice, working some at nickel again. No, we're excited about Billy, and we'll continue to progress him.
Yeah, you mentioned in passing a little bit about their offensive line. Specifically, what is it about their offensive line they've gotten a lot better? They struggled at the beginning of last year, gotten better this year. What do you see there, and what kind of a challenge do they present?
Yeah, I just see guys getting movement. I think when you look at the running game, as much as anything, that's guys use the term winning the line of scrimmage, and you make note of that as you're watching on film. You're seeing the opposite color jersey from a defensive standpoint going in the wrong direction, and the offense going kind of like a wave going downfield, and obviously the tailback's doing a great job of finding the crease and kind of making you pay for it. And so it's just a downhill style running, and then what also is you're not seeing the free rusher in the pass game. So in so many ways it's all the above. Their ability to protect and again, probably more specifically in terms of just from a physical standpoint of getting movement on defensive linemen, really make you take notice.
Barry? Yeah, Alex, I got to pick an all Big 12 quarterback. You got any suggestions for me? It's usually pretty obvious, but I have no idea who to vote for.
Oh, goodness. We got a good one we're playing this week. I know that. And obviously, I think one of the telltales as you go around the country from a quarterback standpoint is those guys have won football games. And obviously, Sanders has done a tremendous job of doing that this year.
All right.
Cliff was talking about their offensive line. They are got some questionable guys kind of beat up. Did you find something in your defensive line to get pressure? I mean, you guys are pretty disruptive against Iowa State. So something you changed, something you balled up, you take the Stillwater with you. How important is that going to be?
No, it has been one of those things that as you go through the year, there's been weeks where you that's the resume, that's the film, and you want to point to that and say that's exactly who we are. And there's been other weeks where's that edge? And I just think right now it's a hungry group. I think it's a group that quite frankly understands that in certain games this year they've underachieved. That's on us as coaches. We didn't get it out of them. And I think that what we need this weekend is that same hungry group, a guy that's guys and all the above. Whether you're a 10-snap game guy, 15-snap, 20-snap, a guy that's going to play 50 snaps and expects to be an all-conference guy. We need a hungry group, and we use the term hunt at times. We got to go hunt. We got to go hunt that football. We can't be okay getting blocked. If we go 1 for 1. Whether in the pass game or the run game, and think someone else is going to go make the play, we're going to have a very long day on Saturday. As you go through the course of the season, when we're at our best, 2 of theirs have to block 1 of ours to get that count back in our favor. And so that's obviously the goal each and every week. It's one thing to have it be the goal. It's another thing to get it done. And so, our expectation for those guys is to be a hungry group and a group that plays hard and finds disruption.
You always talk about playing the best 5 with the way Woody's been playing since he's come back. He certainly seems like one of the best 5, and he played really well. And when DJ's healthy, it seems like he's been one of the best 5. And is there a scenario at some point, though, if all 3 of those guys are determined to be the best 5, can they be all on the field at the same time, considering they all play the same position? Or is that something that I'm sure you probably thought about it at some point?
No, it is. It's very difficult to get through games just with 2 corners. I mean, and I don't know if there's a game this year where we've been able to do that. Obviously, Keyshawn was at safety, moved him out there to get some stability. But been fairly pleased with the consistency. Obviously, you want to make every play, and some balls are called on everybody. It's called being a DB. It's something that you constantly look at. But like I said, just from a depth standpoint, don't feel comfortable with just having what we feel is 2 guys. And right now, we feel comfortable really with just 3 guys at corner. So that makes you extremely thin. And that's a message to the other guys in that room to raise their level of play.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks.